So we are presenting data showing optimizing monitoring for patients who receive Lisocabtagene maraleucel or Liso-cel, and figured out if there is a way to shorten the mandated 4-week requirement for patients to stay within a certain radius of the treating academic center. So to further dive into this study, the basic issue right now is that although CD19 CAR T-cell therapies have provided excellent durable remissions across various B-cell malignancies, they certainly have unique adverse events such as cytokine release syndrome, CRS, or neurotoxicity, ICANS, and that is why it is mandated that patients who receive CD19 CAR T-cell therapy stay within a certain radius of the treating center. Unfortunately, this potentially causes a lot of barriers, for example, logistical barriers, socioeconomic challenges, and thus limiting access to care for a lot of patients. Lisocabtagene maraleucel, which is a CD19 CAR T-cell therapy product with a 4-1BB co-stim domain, has shown excellent durable remissions and a very manageable safety profile, and is now approved for patients with relapsed refractory diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, mantle cell lymphoma, CLL, SLL, and follicular lymphoma. Given the expanded indications for Liso-cel, I think it is very important that access be optimized. And in order to really figure out how to optimize access, it's very important to find out the timing, the grade, the management strategies around CRS and ICANS, which is why these patients are mandated right now to be within for 4 weeks within a certain radius of the treating academic site. So with that in mind, data was extracted from 5 pivotal studies investigating Liso-cel in relapsed refractory follicular, diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, mantle cell lymphoma, and DLBCL, as well as 1 real-world data from CIBMTR registry with Liso-cel in relapsed refractory diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. We identified more than 1,500 patients, 1,579 to be precise, across these pivotal data sets, and really asked the question, what's the timing of CRS? What's the timing of ICANS? What's the grade? What are the management strategies? And is there a window within which these are more often seen than not, so as to be able to personalize and tailor approaches with regards to post-infusion monitoring? So the results basically show that between the 2 data sets, the baseline characteristics were equivalent, except for clinical trial population. These patients were younger. These patients had a fitter performance status compared to the registry data set. On the other hand, with regards to refractory disease or with regards to the receipt of bridging therapy, they were equivalent between the 2 data sets. Now, deep diving into the results then with regards to CRS and ICANS, focusing on clinical trials, any grade CRS occurred in 54% of patients across the 5 pivotal studies. 98% of these events happened within 15 days of infusion. Very few CRS events, 7 to be precise, occurred in these pivotal trials after the 15-day period. To deep dive into the post 15-day period CRS, they were low grade, did not require ICU level care. Now let's move on to the CIBMTR registry. About 50% of patients had any grade CRS. 97% of these happened within the first 15 days after infusion. Very few occurred after 15 days, and these patients were typically treated with steroids or tocilizumab, not requiring ICU level care. Now looking at ICANS, on the clinical trial data set, we found 31% of patients with any grade ICANS. 88% of these occurred within the first 15 days after infusion. Very few happened after 15 days, and they were manageable, not requiring ICU level care. And with regards to the CIBMTR registry data set, 27% of patients had ICANS, with 97% of these patients occurring or having ICANS within the first 15 days after infusion. Very few to none had ICANS after, and this did not require ICU level care. There were no grade 5 CRS or ICANS that occurred across these clinical studies as well as the registry data set. Majority of side effects were focused and centered around the first 15 days. So this really implies that at a broader level, 96% of patients, 96% of CRS or ICANS occurred in patients who received Liso-cel within the first 15 days after infusion, really calling us to rethink our strategy or the mandated timing of 4 weeks to be staying within the treating academic site. And thus, I think the next steps would be to figure out a way to personalize and tailor approaches in order to not only continue to keep these patients safe, but optimize the post-infusion strategies to less than 4 weeks so as to be able to really get them back to their home and at the same time allow far greater access to patients to CAR T-cell therapy.